Okay, we'll start the meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening. We're going to start the meeting with item 1.0. It's a special presentation on school safety and security. I'm going to turn this over to Dr. Vernon.
Thank you, Mr. Cole, and I would like to invite Chief Kenny and Fire Marshal Walker to the presentation table, and I will join them. Thank you. Good evening. Events in the past month or so have certainly put us in a position where we're thinking more and more openly and seriously, not that we weren't serious in the first place, about school safety and security. We have been working forever with our police chief and police department, as well as our fire marshal and our entire fire department, to ensure that all of our children are safe and feel secure in schools. It's time, however, for an update for the Board of Education. So we've provided you with this is an outline. I'm going to speak to the outline. Chief Kenny and Fire Marshal Walker are here to answer any questions that I can't answer. But I can assure you that we've been talking not only in the last month, but certainly over the last 2.5 years that I've been here and prior to that. So there is an incredible partnership between our fire department, our police department, and our school system that we're all very, very proud of. I'm going to try to make this work. You know that one of the board's goals, the third goal, is certainly to ensure that we have safe environments that are physically, socially, emotionally conducive to learning for our students. Very, very important. So we think about that, and that's foremost in the board's minds. We talk about partnerships, we talk about education, learning, academics, and we talk about safety and our environments. I'm going to talk about 4 things this evening: training, facility security, threat assessment, and safe school climate. And safe school climate we've been talking about for a long time. We have policies about safe school climate, so that will seem very familiar to you. In terms of training, we have drills. We have drills all the time. You probably have drills yourselves when you were in school. Mostly fire drills, and since we have all had regular fire drills, 1 per month throughout the school year, we have had no fire losses of life due to fire in schools in a long, long time, certainly in my lifetime, and that's been very, very key. Since the devastation at Columbine High School in Colorado, we've had hard and soft lockdown drills. I think they've been done with less regularity, and administrators across the state, I'm not talking only about ours, but administrators are slightly reticent to scare children in doing things like that. We're only required to have 3 of those in a year. Those 3 can be, it should be at least 1 hard or at least 1 soft, but you have 3 in a year, and they can replace a fire drill. I don't believe we've been doing that as much, and I certainly don't believe that that practice brings about the automaticity that we must have in terms of these drills. You know that in Newtown, it was very, very clear, only from reading the papers, I have no insider information, and clear from reading those papers that it was automatic that the teachers had the children where they were supposed to be, whether it was in a closet in the room or in a certain area of the room. It was automatic. We are not to that point yet. If we have a fire drill, our kids automatically know what to do. In fact, on the first day of school, they look up at the piece of paper over the door and say, where do I go? All right, we know we're going to practice it. It'll probably be within a week. But they do it automatically. If for some reason a fire truck does show up, perhaps we have a small grease fire in the kitchen, they even take that for granted. They say, oh, look at that. There really was a fire. But there's no alarm because they did what they were supposed to do and they're so practiced in it. So our drills are very, very important to us. I have asked all of our administrators, or directed all of our administrators, that we will have one hard lockdown drill per month for the rest of this school year and beyond. We have not been doing that. 6 of our 7 schools have done that already this month. The 7th one is coming up. We have many, many partnerships with both our police department and our fire department. Our partnerships, we have a school resource officer. He gives us lots of advice. He works with families, with students. And he also responds when, unfortunately, we might need a police officer. Our police officers respond if our SRO is not there. The police department is there within minutes at any of our schools. They're centrally located and they can reach any of our schools within moments if we need them. But they're really there, especially our SRO, to work with families, work with individual students. Our police officers also do off-hours training as well as our fire department, but our police officers have trained for active shooter problems or active issues in all of our schools, every single one of them. There are maps, floor maps to each of our schools and keys to each of our buildings in every single police car. So our police are totally ready for us. They know how to get into our buildings. They know what to do. They have also provided us, looking back at number 1, with feedback on our drills. Last year, Officer Tim O'Connor and Captain Clark both provided us with feedback on drills when the principals requested them to come in. They're now doing that this month. They will be doing that within another month during our 2nd drill. Triaging visitors without sacrificing customer service. It's very interesting that in the 3rd week in December, we had 2 welcoming school walkthroughs in 2 of our schools, and a 3rd one set for the beginning of this month, which will take place. We want our schools to be welcoming to our parents, to our families, and to visitors. We want them to be welcoming places for our students. So looking at containing our entries, and at the same time providing greeters. We do have 3 of our 7 schools that do not have contained entries. I think Mr. Picard uses the word airlock, is that correct? I use the word vestibule. And we have 3 schools that do not have an area where you go directly in and into the office. Those 3 schools now have greeters. We have been hiring this week. We place people there temporarily and we have greeters, people who ask for your identification, who give you a visitor's badge, and direct you to where you're supposed to go. Otherwise, in those 3 schools, you could be buzzed in and then just walk down the hallway until the secretary realizes it and follow you down. So we're making sure that we sign people in. Training of substitute teachers. We used to have a full day of training for our substitute teachers that included all of our safety procedures, and we have not had that for a while. We are reinstituting that. We will hold one shortly to make sure. And we're looking at how our substitutes don't carry keys. And so we're looking at how we can assure that our substitutes can lock their doors as well and include them in lockdown training. Emergency procedure guide, you have a copy of one. Unfortunately, I will have to ask for it back because they are in high demand. This is the flip chart, the short version of our emergency procedures manual, which is much more detailed. This is at every desk space in every school. So you would find that at a secretary's desk, at a teacher's desk, at the custodian's stations, so that you can very quickly refer to what happens in a bus accident, what happens when the telephones fail, what happens if a bloodborne pathogens exposure. And so you get the very brief, version of that. We also have a health and safety committee that's been in place for about 2.5 years, and it focuses on risk management. We do a lot of tools for schools training, which is indoor air quality, but we also focus on risk management. So we look at the accidents across the district, who's been injured by a fall, by something we can fix, and so we try to do that. This committee meets 5 times a year. It actually happens to be meeting this Thursday. And this Thursday on the agenda will be school safety. And so they will also take up that issue and talk about what we're talking about here tonight. We're also looking at possibly an ad hoc subcommittee for that larger committee so that they can look at these issues across the district. So in training we are doing quite a lot of things. The drills especially are training our teachers, certainly. Facility security, you can see we have a very long list, not an exhaustive list, but a long list here. All our doors are locked, interior and exterior to the building, interior classroom doors. So any place there would be a gathering of students or people. Our main entrances are secure, so they're all locked. If any of you do happen to visit someplace and find a door that's not locked, and anybody who's listening, please let us know, because if we don't know, then there's nothing we can do about it, but we are checking ourselves, but we could use more eyes and ears as well. We have, again, as I said, 3 of our 7 schools do not have that airlock vestibule, and they do have a greeter. Additionally, our middle school students are dropped off in the back of the school, and this has been happening since my kids were in middle school, which is quite a while ago. And they're generally dropped off in the back of the school, and they come into the cafeteria and they sit and wait for the bell. There are very few adults around the building except the administrators at that point, so we have asked someone, flexed someone's hours and had them come in early. We actually added 45 minutes to the day, and so we have someone in that area supervising the children, so that they're supervised in the cafeteria, but also keeping an eye on that door as to who is coming in that door as well, and that's new this fall. We have a door buzzer system at all schools. All 7 schools have had the door buzzer systems for many years. You must present an identification. I don't know that that was done with all visitors. I had not had to present mine except for my standard ID. But you do have to present an identification. You get a visitor's badge, tell where you're going, and you're directed or brought to that particular place. But all of our schools have buzzers. I know that that's been a big thing in the newspapers lately. There are several districts that are spending a lot of money on buzzers. We've had them for years. So that you're not supposed to get in without being buzzed in and identifying yourself outside the building first. We have an incredible radio network. These are new radios. We purchased them over the summer and they went into effect this fall. And so these radios allow us to communicate district-wide. We used to have 3 different sets of radios, and so you couldn't communicate at all between buildings. We can communicate district-wide. In addition to that, we can communicate with our first responders. And so this is new. This is an incredible system. Again, this was in early this fall. I hope we never have to use it in an emergency situation, but it is there. And we're quite delighted. It is state-of-the-art. Cameras. We have cameras at all entries to all main entries to the buildings. At Rockville High School, they are just about everywhere, interior and exterior. Those cameras you can remote in. I can remote in from my desk here or even from my desk at home. And you can move the cameras, you can zoom in, you can move the cameras, and then after a few minutes it'll revert back to where it was put to begin with. We also will be able to connect these cameras to the dispatcher at the police department, who will be able to patch that through to any police cruiser, and it'll go into any computer in any police cruiser. That hasn't happened yet, but we're working on that right now. With our unified network here in the town now, we're able to do that. We all have standard ID badges. We did have 7 sets of ID badges within the district, and we now have standard ID badges. All employees must wear them. They're receiving them now if they haven't received them already. They're signing for them. The board did change the policy about ID badges and entries and keys last month or the month before. And so everyone is having to do those. There's also visitors' badges in each building as well.